Then let's get to it. Let's get our books, and if anybody comes in, um, okay. So, do you like the idea that we've been repeating the prayers twice in Tibetan, so we get more used to the melodies? Is that okay? Okay. All right. So we'll continue that. All right. So we start on page 1 with the altruistic motivation. So the idea is now we are, visualizing the Buddha field, so to speak. We're bringing it all together. We're setting our motivation. So we recite in English, all mothers, sentient beings, especially those enemies who hate me, obstructors who harm me, and those who create obstacles on my path to liberation and omniscience. May they experience happiness, be separated from suffering, and swiftly I will establish them in the state of unsurpassed, perfect, complete, and precious Buddhahood. Dagla dang war je pe dra no par je pe ge. Tarpa dang tam she ken pe bar du jo par je pa tam she ki so je pe. Manam ka dam yam pe sem chen tam she de wa dang den. Dug now dang drel nur du la na me pa yang dag par zog pe zhang ju rin po she to pa ja. Dag la dang war je pe dra no pa je pe ge. Par pa dang tam she ken pe bar du jo par je pa tam she ki so je pe. Manam ka dam yam pe sem chen tam she de wa dang den. Dog now dang drao nor du la na me pa yang dag par zog pe. Zhang ju, excuse me, Zhang ju brin po she to pa ja. Thus, until I achieve enlightenment, I perform virtuous deeds with body, speech, and mind. Until death, I perform virtuous deeds with body, speech, and mind. From now until this time tomorrow, I perform virtuous deeds with body, speech, and mind. Te she du sang ma ge gi bar du lu na gi sam ge wa la ko. Ma she bar du lu na gi sam ge wa la ko. Du de ring ne song te ni ma sang ta sam gi bar du lu na gi sam ge wa la ko. We take refuge in the kind root Lama and lineage Lamas. We take refuge in the deities of the mandalas of the Yidams. We take refuge in all the exalted Buddhas. We take refuge in the perfect Dharma. We take refuge in the excellent order of the Sanghas. We take refuge in all the noble Dakas, Dakinis, and Dharma guardians, possessors of the eye of wisdom. Transcends awa dangur par je pe pal den lama dam pa nam la kap su chi yo. Ye dam kil gur gi la sok nam la kap su chi yo. Sangye chom den de nam la kap su chi yo. Dam pe cho nam la kap su chi yo. Awo kaj bag pege du nam la kap su chi yo. Awo kadro cho kyong song me song yes sheki chang dang dem pa nam la kap su chi yo. Dren san sa wa danger par je pe pal den la ma dam pa nam la kap su chi yo. Yedam kil gorgi la sok nam la kap su chi yo. Sangye chom den de nam la kap su chi yo. Dam pe cho nam la kap su chi yo. A pe ge du nam la kap su chi yo. Awo kadro cho kyong song mei song ye she gi chang dang dem pa nam la kap su chi o. Until I attain the heart of enlightenment, I take refuge in all the Buddhas. I take refuge in the Dharma and likewise in the assembly of the Bodhisattvas. As the previous Buddhas embraced the enlightened mind and progressed on the Bodhisattva's path, I too, for the benefit of all sentient beings, give birth to bodhicitta and apply myself to accomplish the stages of the path. Shangju, Ningpo, Chi Ki Bar, Sangye Namla Kapsu Chi, Chodang Shangshu Sampa Yi, So Klang De Shin Kapsu Chi. Jitar Nonggi De Shegi, Shangshu Tugni Ki Padang, Shangshu Sampe La Pala, De Dagrim Shin Ne Patar, De Shin Drola Pandandu, Shangshu Samni Ki Gishin, De Shin Du Ni La Pala, Rinpa Shindu La Parji, Shangshu Ningpo Chi Ki Bar, Sangye Nam La Kapsu Chi, Chodang Shangshu Sampa Yi, So Klang De Shin Kapsu Chi, Jitar Nonggi De Shegi, Shangshu Tugni Ki Padang, Shangshu Sampe La Pala, De Dagrim Shin Ne Pata, De Shin Jo La Pandandu, Shangshu Samni Ki Gishin, De Shin Du Ni La Pala, Rinpa Shindu La Parji Ho. In the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha most excellent, I take refuge until enlightenment is reached. By the merit of generosity and other good deeds, may I attain Buddhahood for the sake of all sentient beings. Sangye Chodang Soki Chodam La, Shangshu Bardu Dagni Kapsu Chi, Dagi Jinso Ki Pe Sonam Gi, Drola Penshir Sangye Jupa Sho, Sangye Chodang Soki Chonam La, Shangshu Bardu Dagni Kapsu Chi, Dagi Jinso Ki Pe Sonam Gi, Drola Penshir Sangye Jupa Sho. May all mother sentient beings, boundless as the sky, have happiness and the causes of happiness. May they be liberated from suffering and the causes of suffering. May they never be separated from the happiness that is free from sorrow. May they rest in equanimity, free from attachment and aversion. Manam kadam yam pe sem chen tam she de wa dang de we ger dang dem pa jur chi. Dug now dang de now gi gu dang dra wa jur chi. Dug now me pe de wa dang mi dra wa jur chi. May ring chak dang ni dang dra wei tang nam la ne pa jur chi. Manam ka dam yam pe sem chen tam she de wa dang de wei ger dang dem pa jur chi. Dug now dang de now gi gu dang dra wa jur chi. Now me pe de wa dang mi dra wa jur chi. Nei ring chak dang ni dang dra wei tang nam ma ne pa jur chi. Page 8 and page 9, the 100-syllable purification mantra of Vajrasattva, once in English and 3 times in the Sanskrit. Om Vajrasattva Samaya, help to protect my vow to purify myself. May you remain firm with me. Grant me the complete satisfaction. Grow with me. Be loving towards me. Grant me the attainments to master the powers beyond body and nature. Show me all the deeds of body, speech, and mind. Make my mind, heart good, virtuous, and auspicious. Revel in the bliss of the 4 joys, O Blessed One, who embodies the essence within me. Do not abandon me. Grant me the realization of the indestructible nature. Make me one with you. Thus I signify my unity with non-duality. Ah. Om Vajrasattva Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasattva Tenopa Dristadredo Me Bhava Suto Kayo Me Bhava Supo Kayo Me Bhava Anuraktu Me Bhava Sara Siddhi Me Prayatsa Sara Karma Sutsa Me Sitsantriya Kuruham Ha 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 Ho Bhagavan Saratada Gata Bajra Mame Munsa Bajri Bhava Mahasamaya Satwaha Om Bajra Satwa Samaya Manupalaya Vajra Sattva Tenopa Dristadredo Me Bhava Suto Kayo Me Bhava Supo Kayo Me Bhava Anuraktu Me Bhava Sara Siddhi Me Prayatsa Sara Karma Sitsa Me Sitsantriya Kuruham Ha 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 Ho Bhagavan Saratada Gata Bajra Mame Munsa Bajri Bhava Mahasamaya Satwaha Om Bajra Sattva Samaya Manupalaya Bajra Sattva Tanopa Dristadredo Me Bhava Suto Kayo Me Bhava Supo Kayo Me Bhava Anuraktu Me Bhava Sara Siddhi Me Prayatsa Sara Karma Sitsa Me Sitsantriya Kuruham Ha 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 Ho Bhagavan Saratada Gata Bajra Mame Munsa Bajri Bhava Mahasamaya Satwa. For the 7-limb prayer in English. I bow down respectfully with my body, speech, and faithful mind to all the Tathagatas in the 10 directions, those who have already reached the Tathagata state, those who are reaching it at present, and those Tathagatas still to come. Through the power of Samatha prayers, may all the Buddhas manifest vividly in my mind. I prostrate to them, multiplying my body as many times as there are atoms of the earth. In each atom, I visualize as many Buddhas as there are atoms, surrounded by countless bodhisattvas. Thus, all space is filled with Buddhas and bodhisattvas. I praise all Buddhas through magnificent chanting, expressing the great ocean of their excellent qualities. To all Buddhas, I make offerings of various pure flowers, flower garlands of music, anointing oils, magnificent light, and fragrant incense. I make offerings to them of fine garments, perfume, and potpourri, piled high as Mount Meru and arranged in the most beautiful way. I visualize the highest and most extensive offerings, and offer them with great faith to all the Buddhas. I prostrate to the Buddhas and make offerings to them, following the deeds of the great Bodhisattvas, Samatha. I confess to all Buddhas whatever negative actions I have committed due to the power of anger, desire, and ignorance. I rejoice in the merit of all the Buddhas in the 10 directions, of the great Bodhisattvas and Pratyeka Buddhas, those who have attained Arhatship, those who have entered the path to Arhatship, and all other beings. I request all great protectors and Buddhas to turn the highest wheel of Dharma as the light dispelling the darkness of the beings of the 10 directions and lead them gradually to the enlightened state. I supplicate those Buddhas intending to pass into parinirvana to live long for as many eons as there are atoms of the earth in order to benefit all beings. Whatever merit I've gathered through prostrations, offering, confession, rejoicing, beseeching, and praying, for the sake of the enlightenment of all sentient beings, all this I dedicate. Om, ah, hum. Om, ah, hum. Om, ah, hum. Okay, thank you all very much. Anybody have any questions or comments before we get into this?
Hey, Lance, tonight you actually recited the 100-syllable purification mantra.
Yes, it did.
Yes, a lot of times we usually don't do that one.
I know.
And it was really nice.
We're good. Yeah. just to test you, make sure you remembered it. Okay. So I like a little bit of a discussion here. So I'm going to turn everybody's mics on, if I can do that. Why can't I do that? Oh, there it is. So if you have something to say, just come right in and say something. So the primary question is, why haven't you already achieved Buddhahood?
Too many obscurations.
Yeah? Curtis, how about you?
It's not something to achieve.
Oh, it's not. Okay. Okay. Katie?
I'm in the bad habit of grasping onto Sarah.
Okay. Amanda?
I was going to say self-grasping.
Yeah. Michael?
I'm already in the zone. I just don't know anything.
Okay. Well, you all kind of hit on it, and that is because we still have obscurations, and we break it down that we have two obscurations. We have the obscuration of the afflictive emotions, all the 84,000 emotions that come from, what are the 84,000 emotions come from?
Those are the 84,000 teachings of the Buddha, or the 84,000 teachings.
Well, but what do the emotions come from?
They come from self-grasping, or the dualistic mind.
Well,
From
the 84,000 emotions. Anybody else got something you can add?
it boils down to 6, doesn't it?
It boils down to how many?
6?
Poisons?
5.
It's 5
Okay.
big poisons.
The 5 poisons, right. So what are the 5 poisons?
Desire, anger, ignorance, jealousy.
Pride.
Pride or greed. Yes, those are the 5. So those are the afflictive emotions, and the basis of the afflictive emotions are those 5 poisons. So this is one reason why we haven't achieved Buddhahood, because we're still dealing with those emotions. So then the second obscuration, the second thing that we're keeping us from Buddhahood, is the wisdom obscurations. the obscuration of wisdom. So what do you think that means? And this is more subtle. After the bodhisattvas have gone through all the bhumis, have gone through all the purifications, all the perfections of being a bodhisattva, they still have this final obscuration of wisdom. And that is that we think we can know. That we think that as a human being, we can know.
Very good.
And we hold on to that humanness. You know, we hold on to that. There can be many rationales why we do that. You know, the bodhisattvas say, the 8 great bodhisattvas say, we're not going to attain Buddhahood so that we can continue to help ordinary beings discover the path and come onto the path of bodhisattva and so on to help them. But many others remain there just simply because they can't accept that, you know, they think that, oh, they're so great because they're a human being. They can achieve that they are the Buddha. They start thinking about that instead of letting it go. And then the Buddha just becomes the natural state. I think Curtis might have said, you know, it's nothing that you attain, it's something that you realize. And you realize it when you let it go. So the question then becomes, why do we still have these 2 obscurations?
Haven't realized emptiness.
That's part of it, yeah. Mm-hmm.
There's still this grasp of I and me.
That's part of it, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But there's a real fundamental answer to this.
Is it karma?
No. It's that we have weak bodhicitta.
Mm-hmm.
Bodhicitta is the perfection of all the enlightenments, the Buddhas and the Bodhisattvas, the Dakinis and the Dharma guardians and so on. Bodhicitta is the thing that is common with all of them. We have it within ourselves, but, you know, from time to time, you know, we may recognize that it's there, but most of the time we're doing things to block it up, to interrupt it, to become problems for it, and so on. So we have weak bodhicitta or no bodhicitta at all. So this is why we still have these 2 obscurations, because we haven't perfected bodhicitta. So why do we have weak bodhicitta? So the first reason is because we have poor compassion. We really aren't thinking about other beings as much as we should be. Remember, one of the quality of being a bodhisattva is for the benefit of the enlightenment of other beings, and that you're ready to, you know, almost, you know, sacrifice, to use that word, you know, to suspend your happiness, to put your happiness on hold so that you can help other beings. So it's that compassion, having that kind of compassion, that is the obscuration to bodhicitta. So then why do we have poor compassion? We have poor compassion because we don't have stable loving kindness. And loving kindness is wisdom. You know, our wisdom gets afflicted, gets, you know, arrogant. We start clinging to things. We start grasping our own thoughts and thinking that, oh, because I think it must be true, instead of thinking with our heart, allowing our heart thoughts to come up and that wisdom to come up, that natural wisdom that we have. So then why don't we have loving kindness? We don't have loving kindness because we're an improper vessel. We're not ready for the teachings. We haven't prepared ourselves. We haven't allowed ourselves to transcend, to know that we can. And then why are we an improper vessel? Because we don't have discipline. We don't have the discipline to be able to say, okay, I'm going to make these decisions and I'm going to focus on these things that really matter and not focus on these things that don't matter, that are ordinary, that are full of temporary pleasures and clinging and things like that. The things that are the objects of our emotions. So this is the reverse way that we talked about this before. What I just went through a couple of weeks ago, we talked about that first we have to start with discipline. We have to start with the 4 thoughts that turn the mind to the Dharma. When we are going to meditate, we sit down to meditate, the first thing that should come to our mind, the first thing that we should think about is the 4 thoughts that turn the mind to the Dharma. And this is, the essence of that is discipline. Precious human life, impermanence, karma, cause and effect, and the suffering of samsara. To recognize and what is it that allows us to transcend, say, okay, we've got these tools, we've got these 4 thoughts, now what are we going to do with them? We have to discipline our lives to become the embodiment of the reality of that exalted, that transcendent nature that we have. When we do that, we become a proper vessel. Then when we become the proper vessel, now we can start developing the loving kindness, the wisdom. And then from the wisdom, then we develop the compassion. The compassion comes. So we use the example of our mothers. Our mother as being, the wisdom that she had in being able to, the loving kindness that she had to bring us into this world and to teach us and the rest of the family and so on like that. So we talked about the 4 kindnesses of the mother as loving kindness or the wisdom. And then the compassion was, well, even our mothers have problems, have issues that keep them in the lower realms, pull them into the lower realms, and we have to have unbearable compassion for our mothers. And if we see all beings as our mothers, then that's bodhicitta. That's what we're trying to realize, to attain. So loving kindness and compassion, and then once we have compassion, then we can open up to bodhicitta. Then we begin to realize bodhicitta. And then within bodhicitta is joy and equanimity. And then we become on the bodhisattva path. Then we become there. Then we become a bodhisattva. We get onto the bhumis. And then we continue on through our purification to get to the point of being able to be a Buddha. So if we want to be a Buddha, we have to recognize what it is that's keeping us from being a Buddha and then follow the path back up to say, okay, here's how I'm going to attain my Buddhahood. So this is what our meditation is all about. This is what we're doing it for. We're taking this time, we're making this gift for ourselves to be able to transcend our ordinariness, our human nature, and develop our Buddha nature, which is in our heart center. So what we're really looking for now is a breakthrough. We're looking for a time when we cross a threshold. And there's many thresholds. There's one after another. And we have to give ourselves the opportunities to move through those thresholds. So we're looking for that breakthrough that comes from discipline. So we talked about the 3 mind trainings last week or so. and we talked about the training of the moral ethics, the training of the body. We talked about the training of the meditative concentration, and the mind training on wisdom awareness. So we talked about those three mind trainings, and if you remember, it was like 5 pearls. It was we were talking about the 6 paramitas, the six perfections, and there were 5 pearls, and the 5 pearls were strung on the string, the band that kept them all together, of diligence, perseverance, discipline. That was the thing that holds all these things together. So we don't want to miss this point, the point of single-pointed mindfulness, a practice that leads to meditation experience. This is what we're doing. This is why we begin by memorizing these prayers, by memorizing the order in which we do things, by memorizing the sadhanas that we begin to do, and so on, memorizing our practice. It's developing one-pointed mindfulness. If I look at my book, I don't really have one-pointed mindfulness. I'm trying to develop it, but it's not there. If I don't need my book, and I can sit here and I can go through this process for my 15 minutes or 20 minutes or an hour or whatever it is, without having to look at the book, we've developed a higher level of single-pointed mindfulness. So this is important. Laziness creeps in. All our proclivities for entertainment and so on creep in. All our rationalizations justify our poor discipline. But as a practitioner, we commit ourselves to developing exercising the discipline to accomplish single-pointed mindfulness. And then what ultimately happens is that we are there all the time. We are in the Buddha field all the time. In the beginning, maybe it's, we're in a sacred space. We're a practitioner. And then we become a yogi or a yogini, and we're always in union. We're always present with it. And then our whole world, we begin to view everything as being like the body of the Buddha, being the display of Buddha nature, and that we're just part of that display. There's no distinction between us and that display. We are the display is us. We are the same. What we're going to talk about tomorrow, start talking about, is the Bardo Todal. The Bardo Todal is the book of liberation by hearing, the book of natural liberation by hearing in the intermediate state, is what Bardo Todal means, the literal translation for it. The book of natural liberation by hearing in the intermediate state. And what that means is that we become natural, perfectly natural, in the natural state, and in this natural state of a Buddha, of a Bodhisattva, so that when our time comes to die, to leave this body, we don't even realize that it happened, because we are so in the moment of being a Bodhisattva, so in the moment of being a Buddha, that our body means nothing to us. And there would be this short period of time where maybe we catch up and say, oh, wow, I don't have a body anymore. I mean, that sounds really far out, really crazy. How could you do that? But when we do the POA, when we do the transference of consciousness, that's what we're doing. But imagine not needing the POA. Imagine always being in the POA. That all this is the Buddha field. Whatever Buddha you choose, you're Buddha. You are the Buddha. So this is motivation for why we do this. The single pointed mindfulness that keeps us in that. The Buddhas don't have to work for it. They are that. They are the embodiment of that. The Bodhisattvas, the great Bodhisattvas, are that. They don't have to work for it. They've already worked for it. The Buddhas have already worked for it. In this lifetime, we're going to achieve some level of it. We've already achieved some level of it. We'll achieve greater level if we stay with it. You know, but we're on a continuum, and that continuum takes different forms, takes different lives, and so on. So it's said, you know, in the teachings that once you recognize these emptiness, once you recognize this continuum, that within 3 lifetimes, one will be able to attain or recognize their Buddha nature. So that might be some motivation, give you some, you know, a little bit of wind at your back, say, oh, you know, I'm a lot closer to it than I thought I was. Well, we shouldn't get complacent or take it for granted. There's still a lot of work that has to be done. And the work is for the benefit of the enlightenment of other beings. That's how we do it. If we do it selfishly, then, you know, you're not going to achieve it. Any questions or comment? Okay.
So Lance,
Yes, sir.
so we're on this path to practice. And out of the population of this world, what percentage is actually on this path? You're talking very small amount. So what kind of karmic connection do we have to have from our past life to motivate us now to keep on the path? So there must be some kind of connection that we made with the Buddha or with Buddhism or something that wants us or pushes us on this path. Because a lot of people, they have no incline of getting on the path, looking towards the path, wanting to find out about the path. So what inclines us to do that?
Well, it's our past karma, the past deeds that people have done, that the beings have done, that we are now representative of. You know, to say that Tom had this past life or past lives where all these things happened, you know, it's more like Tom now recognizes all the work that was done in the past, and Tom now is harmonizing with that and bringing that in and recognizing that, and that becomes your motivation. It's not that Tom had these past lives. It's that Tom recognizes the karma that is there for him to be able to use, the good karma, the positive karma. And some of it is in the form of a Buddha, some of it's in the form of Bodhisattva, some of it's in the form of ordinary beings that were doing different things and so on. So we each have that. You know, we see this continuum. And if we try to say, oh, this is my continuum, and my continuum is unique to your continuum, defeats the purpose of that. We're trying to get away from selfishness. We're trying to lose that. So the more that we can see the I and the me and the mind becomes the we, the quicker it becomes easier for us to be able to just melt into it, to just harmonize with it. and not see ourselves as being anything unique to it. So isn't that what we're trying to do now? I mean, we're part of a sangha. You know, we go to a temple together, and we do practice. We receive teachings and so on. But I'm sure that during the time that we're there, there's always this kind of awareness that, you know, I like being here, and I kind of lose myself in it. I don't have any attachment to it other than I just love being here. And I love being with these other people and so on. And I'm just myself. I'm my natural self. So what all those things were in the past that brought us to this were all the good deeds that were ever done by all the beings that ever lived in the lifetime. Whether they were Buddhas, Bodhisattvas, or ordinary beings. All the bad things are there too. But we've gotten to the point where we can not be attached or have aversions to those bad things. So that's a semi-short answer to your question. Does that make sense?
You're a wise teacher.
Well, it's only because we have wise teachers that we all learn from and so on. And there is a one-pointed mindfulness, you know. Yes, this does work. You know, the reason why I think we're all here together right now is because you have some faith in what's being said, and maybe a little bit of faith in me, you know, as having traveled this path and being on this path for some time. You know, if you want to go to New York and you've never been there before and you don't know how to get there, it would be really good to go with somebody who's been to New York before. You know, so if you want to learn meditation and you want to learn how to transcend, you know, our difficulties and so on, our afflictions and our obscurations, it would be good to go with somebody who has had some success at that. Whether they are just reading it or maybe they've had some personal experience with it. So that's what we talk about, you know, finding an authentic teacher. You know, someone who has vicariously learned the things that they're saying is one thing, and it beats a blank. It beats nothing. But to find those who have had realization, who have had experience with this, is much greater. And we looked at beings like Khenpo Samduk. We looked at beings like Garchen Rinpoche, because we truly know that they've had real experience, real realization with one-pointed mindfulness.
Thank you so much, Lance.
Okay, you're welcome. Thank you. All right. So we're talking about shamatha meditation. So shamatha meditation is calm, abiding meditation. So what we're trying to do is we're trying to rest the mind with no thought. Now, right from the get-go, that is very, very difficult. And what will happen is we're trying to create a place where wise thoughts can come up, where this wisdom that we have within us can come up and has a space in which to be able to be developed. We have this wisdom within us. We have Buddha nature within us, but it's very subtle and it's very easily pushed aside. So what we're trying to do is to create that calm space where none of the other afflictive emotions, none of the other ego trips, none of the other things are in play. And all it is just this pure place. And out of that comes this wisdom, come these wisdom thoughts. So this pure space is the shamatha meditation, a calm, abiding meditation. And out of that comes the vipassana, comes the insight meditation, comes the insights. And then we begin to analyze what those insights are. But we got to do it in that pure field, in that calm field. So the way in which we get to the calm field are the things that we just talked about a few minutes ago. We have to do our opening prayers. We have to set our motivation. We have to be in a good place when we do this. It's going to be, not have interruptions and so on. And then we consider the four thoughts that turn the mind to the Dharma. And then we develop loving kindness through the understanding the mother, looking at all beings as our mother. And then we look at compassion through looking at our mother suffering in the 6 realms of samsara. And then we develop bodhicitta. We recognize the relative bodhicitta and the ultimate absolute bodhicitta. This is what we talked about the past 2 weeks. We talked about developing bodhicitta, generating bodhicitta. So now we're ready to, now with this bodhicitta, this awareness of bodhicitta, it may not be perfectly stable, but it's enough that we can start working with it. And now we develop calm abiding, shamatha meditation. We start developing our one-pointed meditation. So we start by sitting in the 7th position of Varanchana. And I think we're all familiar with that. We've heard that many times, but just to make sure that we all know that, we're sitting in a comfortable position. If we're sitting on a cushion on the floor, our legs are crossed, and it's hard to fall over. It's a very balanced position. It's a very natural position. It's called the lotus position or the vajra position, the indestructible position. We're sitting in this position and our back is straight and our shoulders are back. They're not up around our neck, but they're relaxed, but we bring our shoulders back. And as we do that, it brings our hands, we bring our left hand and our right hand lying on top of each other with our thumbs touching, and we bring that right into our navel. And when we pull our shoulders back, it pulls our hands into our abdomen. So it's all very natural. And we can sit here for quite some time. If we need to change positions, we can move our hands. We can put them on our knees. We can relax them so they're a little bit lower in our lap. Or whatever is comfortable. But these are the starting points. These are the starting points. And then our neck, of course, is up, but it's a little bit forward. Our neck is just a little bit relaxed. And our head resting on our neck, our face is down. We bring our chin just a little bit down. Not up like this, but down like this in a very natural, very comfortable, natural, relaxed position. And then our eyes can be open or closed. We want to keep our eyes open, but it takes some time to get there. We're not going to get there right away. It's better for us to begin with our eyes closed. Less distractions and so on like that. But if we're going to keep our eyes open, then our eyes are open in a gaze down towards the direction of our nose and 4 or 5 feet out in front of us. And not looking at anything in particular, just a gaze, not staring, not fixating on an object at this point, just relaxed. And our eyes should be, almost closed, just very relaxed, like you're almost just nodding off. You don't want to nod off, but just very relaxed. And then your tongue is on the roof of your mouth behind your front teeth. And this is a natural position to keep your mouth moist. You know, I don't know what the physiology is there, but it seems to work. So that's the 7 points of Varanchana. So Varanchana, you might remember, is the Buddha Varanchana of all-pervading wisdom. So this position leads to all this wisdom, all this compassion, all this enlightenment, and so on. So Varanchana was also a great teacher who lived sometime after the Buddha did, and he taught this position. So it came from the Buddha, I don't know, but so we remember it as the 7 positions of Varanchana. So this is very important to have this position. So now we have to get a little bit technical about what happens next while we're sitting in this position. So there's 2 kinds of shamatha, or calm abiding. Zena is what it's called in Tibetan, but that's not important. And it just means peaceful abiding. So there's 2 kinds of shamatha. There's meditation with a reference point or a focal object, and there's meditation beyond a reference point without a focal object. So if you're taking notes, that's fine. I got this outline, and I'll send the outline to you through the email. So you'll have this to go back to. But it's important to recognize this. We have to intellectualize what this process is before we can become totally relaxed with it. You may already have a great deal of experience with it. So you may be, advanced enough that you already do this kind of second nature now. Well, then it's great that you hear it again and be a support for your brothers and sisters. And maybe there'll be 1 or 2 things that will tighten up. There'll be an affirmation. Something might, correct a little bit of a mistake that you were making, something that you weren't aware of, or something that you're hearing for the first time. So you always have to have an open mind. So maybe an experienced meditator, but we all just do this very, very graciously and very happily. So this first kind of meditation with a focal object can be divided now into 2 categories. And it's meditation with a visual object and meditation without a visual object. So with a visual object, you want to pick something that is not too bright. It should be, just a very earthy kind of a color, not too elaborate, just something very simple. It could be just something if you have a carpet, maybe just a figure in the carpet or something like that. Or it could be your vajra, it could be your bell or something like that. It could be a simple picture of one of your favorite people, something that connotes to you some beauty and some peace and so on. But at this point, it's just the idea that your eyes are going to go to this focal object when your mind wanders. So when you go to this object, it shouldn't be so elaborate that now you have thoughts about what that object is. It should be a very neutral object. So this is something to focus on, to bring our mind back to one-pointed mindfulness after it's wandered a little bit. So we're resting our mind on that, and we're developing just an empty clarity, empty clarity to it. Just the object, just the emptiness. It doesn't have any real meaning. It's temporary itself. It is an expression of emptiness. All this is emptiness. We've dealt with those thoughts of emptiness already. So now it's just relaxing. Now it's just resting. So if our mind wanders and we bring it back to the object, then we just say, okay, here I'm looking at the object, I'm looking at the carpet, and now I just stop the thought. Take a deep breath and just stop the thought. Just let it go. You get back to the shamatha, to the calm abiding, the quietude of the mind. And you may go through that time and time again in any given session. Maybe for 3 or 4 minutes you can hold that. But then invariably a thought rises up and you have to bring it back to the focal object. But that's perfectly natural. It's perfectly normal. What increases is the time in between those having to bring it back, the mindfulness of having to bring it back. That's what increases. So you don't think of the focal object as being in my mind or being outside of my mind. Just let it be just a natural object. If you choose to use a picture of a Buddha or a statue, you're just resting with the body, you're just becoming easy with the body. As you sit here in this position, you're in the Buddha position, just as that statue. And you and the statue become the same. Whatever that object is, you see it just as a display of yourself. That you are part of that object is part of you. So after some time, maybe within a session, maybe after having many sessions of focusing on a focal object, you now can be ready to have without a focal object. That your mind is relaxed enough that you don't need that focal object any longer. So what does that mean? So this can be your breath. So you're focusing on your breath and focusing without your breath. So in the beginning, we've learned to take a deep breath, bring it in, we expand the diaphragm, we hold the breath, and we exhale. We watch the breath coming in and out. We watch fresh, clean, pure air coming in. Maybe it's a white color or a light color, but it's pure coming in. And then we see it going out as being dark, contaminated, stale, negative air going out. We see that. So this is watching the breath. This is focusing on an object, but it's not a tangible object. It's not like looking at something with our eyes or listening to something. So it's more subtle than that. So we are breathing in, we're breathing out. But then after a period of time, maybe within a session or maybe after several sessions of practicing visualizing the intangible object or focusing on the intangible object, now we don't even need that. We go through a series, maybe we do 20 inhalations and exhalations. And then we say, now just breathe normally, just breathe naturally. When your mind wanders, bring it back to watching the breath. But while your mind is stable, then you're not paying attention to the breath. There's no object. There's no tangible object at all. So this is meditating without an object. So it's resting the mind just as it is, in its natural state, without being convoluted by concepts and projections or confusions. So we're just relaxing. And just remember that when the mind wanders into different things, that's natural. That's part of the mind. That's what the brain does. The brain thinks. So it's natural. But we can discipline the mind. We can train the mind to be focused on one thing. And we can have it focus on no thing. That's natural too. That is a higher natural ability that has to be developed. It's a lower natural ability to let the mind wander and be the monkey mind. But whenever that creeps in, we don't get upset. We just discipline it. We bring it to the higher state. So the purpose of meditation is to vanquish the conceptual tendency of the mind to grasp at realness. What is realness? What is this? Is realness these objects? Is realness our breath? Is the mind realness? We've been thinking about emptiness. We've been thinking about letting go. We've been receiving many teachings. And the mind itself is just part of the illusion. It has a name. It has no form, but we give it a name. We give it a reality. And isn't that the definition of dualistic thinking? It's either mind or it's not mind. So we have to let the mind go. All concepts. Just relax and be peaceful. So now you're thinking about, well, what am I going to say next? Or I'm thinking about, what am I going to say next? Or how long am I going to be able to sit here? All that's perfectly natural. So it's very wise to have short meditations, 5 minutes, 10 minutes. And have several of those. If we have an hour's time that we can devote to our practice, and we give ourselves 15 or 20 minutes, 30 minutes, whatever it takes to get into the Buddha field, as we've talked about. And then during the next 20 or 30 minutes, we have short little meditations where we practice this. Then we open our eyes, maybe we stretch, maybe we stand up, maybe we take a drink of water. And then we just go right back into using the object, meditation with an object, or meditation without an object, or meditation with an intangible object. We go through this process over and over again. So during the course of an hour time of practice, we might go through this 5 or 6 times. And we may do that for some period of time, for weeks on end, sessions on end, but then we find that eventually that those 5 minutes become 10 minutes. Those 10 minutes become 15 minutes and 20 minutes, and so on like that. And then it becomes less mechanical. All this becomes less, having to refer to the system. We just flow with the system. The system is part of us. It's very natural. Anybody feels like they want to take a break, this would be a good time to do that. See how controlled you are right now? So next we come to the next part of Samatha meditation, when we talk about meditation without a focal point. And this is a focused concentration or a relaxation. 2 points. A focused concentration and a relaxation. So for the focused concentration, we're sitting in the posture, we're expelling the breath, and we're sharpening our awareness with the resolve not to allow yourself to follow after any thoughts of the 3 times. To rest in a state of clarity and emptiness, to cut through all movement of thoughts. So we're losing track of time. And we don't know that we've been successful until we've had a thought. When a thought catches up with us and says, oh, what were you just doing for the past period of time? And it may seem like it was a long time. It may seem like it's a short time. Both can happen. But from my experience, it's best to have some kind of a timer. If you're going to do 5-minute short meditations or 10-minute or whatever, that you have a plan, you have a goal. You've controlled the environment. You're not going to be disturbed. And you say, okay, I'm going to go for a 40-minute meditation. So you have your timer. And you'll see that you can relax. You don't have to worry about, is it 40 minutes yet? There'll be periods where you become aware of the time, but you let it go. You say, oh, is it 40 minutes yet? My timer is going to go off soon. You say, oh, I don't have to worry about that. Let me go back. And then you use your focal point, your breath, whatever it is, to get you back to that relaxation. And finally, the last few minutes of the time that you designated, if it's 40 minutes or whatever, you find you really have success with those last few minutes. And then the timer goes off totally unexpectedly. You say, ah, there it is. That's what I was going for. Just those few minutes at the end showed me I can do it. And then you have confidence. And you develop the practice over and over and over again. Some days it's very easy and successful. Other days there's agitation, there's laziness, there's confusion, there's inability to focus. That's all normal. Remember, the best meditators that we read about and hear about spent 25 years in caves and so on. And they went through all their changes. They went through all their interruptions and their monkey mind jumping around and all those things. They weren't immune to any of that. So as you're sitting in this position, you're just like the Buddha, you're just like Milarepa, you're just like Garchen Rinpoche, whoever your root teacher is, you're just like them, and they're just like you. So just be natural, be yourself. So that's focus, concentration. You're not following after any thoughts. You're resting in clarity and emptiness, just the space that's around you. It's all clear, it's all empty. Your eyes can be open or closed. You're seeing everything just as it is. The suchness of all things. The display of the relative phenomena. Not chasing any thoughts. Just accepting it, being part of it, it being part of you. When thoughts arise, you just cut right through the thoughts. That's the focus, concentration. Cutting through the thoughts. So then the next part of meditation without a focal point is relaxation. When you're meditating, as we just described with the focus concentration, and you get restless, or you grow weary of meditating, you get a little agitated, you get a little late, a little sleepy. When the mind starts to go so active that it gets overstimulated, we just need to relax the body and mind and let yourself continue to rest naturally. You have to cut through, see what the causes are, cut through them. Maybe it's time to just come out of the meditation. Don't fight it. That's why it's only a 5-minute meditation in the beginning. Just don't fight it. Just say, okay, it's over for right now. Come out, shake it out, shake your arms, raise your arms, stand up, whatever you need to do. Come back and sit down again. Sometimes if we get tired, if we get sleepy, it's best to open our eyes and look up. Instead of looking down, look up. Sometimes, many times that'll take care of it and you'll be able to go back into a nice meditation. Sometimes the time is just not right. It's okay. We'll do it again tomorrow. And then tomorrow may be the best meditation you ever had. You sit right down. No need for motivational prayers. No need to think about the 4 thoughts, loving kindness or compassion. You just slip right into the meditation. And you can stay there perfectly stable for as long as you want. Another day, it may be there's agitation. It's part of being a human being. So we always have to look at who we are, what kind of nature we have, what our personal constitution is like. Some of us are very grounded, earth element constitution. But we can tend towards lethargy. We can tend towards dullness. So we have to concentrate more. We get a little lazy. We have to concentrate more. Say, okay, I gotta think about what I'm doing more. Some people are more wind element. They're more airy. Their minds tend to jump around more from excitation and stimulation. So here we need to relax more. Maybe we need to do a little yoga, some stretches, deep breathing. We're not negating the body, we're bringing the body in. We're not negating the intellect, we're bringing the intellect in. And it opens up the heart center, the big mind. So shamatha, calm abiding meditation is just like it sounds. Just abiding in calmness. We know how successful it is when we end the meditation and we take the meditation with us when we leave the cushion. How calm we remain for the rest of the day. Even when challenges come to us, interruptions come to us, in the way that we deal with them. We each are on time for ourselves. Our lives are different. We have different sets of conditions that we respond to. We all bring the elements of the same karma with us. We're all from the same continuum. We abide in that continuum. We will continue to abide in that continuum. Continue to relax. We'll be quiet for a few minutes. Take a deep breath. Raise your arms up over your head. Bring your hands together. Stretch your back. Stretch your arms. Stretch your neck. Twist your body to the left. Come back to the center. Twist to the right. Come back to the center. Relax your arms, open your eyes, breathe normal. Okay. Turn your microphones on. Anybody have any questions? How was that?
That was a wonderful meditation. I really needed that.
Okay, good. So it's really quite simple, isn't it? Curtis, what do you think?
I'm struck by how different my meditation is with preliminaries versus without them.
How so?
And all the, the meditation is very different because of the practice and the prayers we've said. It's easy I can sit down and meditate without even saying a simple prayer sometimes, but I obviously am missing out when I do that.
Okay. Tom, how about you?
Well, that was very nice. It was very, very calming and very, very peaceful. But I don't know. I tend to get some of my best meditations early in the mornings. But after I do my prostrations, I'm full of sweat and my mind is completely focused. I just that one thing I was doing for half an hour, 40 minutes. And when I sit down, I start doing my meditation. It's instant. It's into almost like a deep meditation. But like I said, I mean, my mind is completely, totally focused. And right now, what we just did, it was very, very, very relaxing, very, very calming.
Mm-hmm.
It was nice.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, I agree. I like to, my best time to meditate's in the morning, but I just had a good experience myself, so it doesn't matter really. Kate, how about you? Did you enjoy that?
No, actually, I'm afraid I started having a great deal of discomfort and I couldn't participate.
Oh, okay. Is everything okay now?
Not entirely.
Okay. Is it something we can help you with?
No, it's just I guess I need to work back up more gradually.
Okay. Well, we're here for you. If you want to talk through some things, we can have a conversation. It'd be no problem at all.
Okay, thank you.
Amanda, how about you? How are you doing?
Yeah, that was a very good meditation. Thank you, Lance.
Have you all had experience with calm abiding? Have you had teaching on that, and have you been able to practice it on your own?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think maybe I was practicing it and not quite knowing what to call it, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
That makes sense.
Okay. Have you had any training on Vipassana, the next part?
A little bit, not much, a little bit.
Okay. Well, very good. Well, then next week we will talk about Vipassana, and there's much more that can be said, more references to calm abiding, to each one of these sections, everything we've been talking about. This has been basically an introduction to all this. But a lot of it, we teach ourselves just through the practice. We find that we are our own guru. Okay. Well, unless anybody has something you want to talk about some more or something, we can do our dedications and we can be finished for tonight.
I have something, Lance.
Yes, sir.
I've been dealing with some anxiety recently. Sometimes I feel a little agitated even. I think it's contributed to my having trouble sitting down and being quiet, which of course is the antidote to some of that. But do you have any thoughts about anxiety or unsettledness or agitation and how to prepare to deal with that, vis-a-vis meditation?
Well, of course. It's going through the, talking about the five poisons. It's trying to understand the cause of your anxiety. We all have that, and it's getting to the root of it, and it's being honest with ourselves and making the time to be able to figure it out. And if we have difficulty doing it on our own, which is perfectly normal, that we should ask a friend, ask a spiritual friend, ask a teacher to help you, think it through. We all go through that.
Thank you.
That's why we're here. That's what the Sangha is. Go to your book, because this is, I always try and make things, show you the relationships. Go to your book and go to page 13, because this really tells it what it is. This is the food offering prayer, but you'll see that it's everything. So you got your book handy, Curtis?
Yes.
Okay. So it says, the precious Buddha is the supreme teacher. The precious Dharma is the supreme protection. The precious Sangha is the supreme guide. To these three jewels, the objects of refuge, I make this offering of food. But that food can be any offering. It can be your meditation. It can be anything. And we look at the Buddha, the teacher, is our Lama, our spiritual friend, anybody who is helping us to show us some wisdom. And the Dharma itself is the protection. That's what we learn, and that protects us. And sometimes we need guidance. Sometimes we need help. And that's what the Sangha is there for, the supreme guide. Our brothers and sisters are there for us. That's what Sangha is. It's not just to, build a facility and pay the rent and the gas and electric and so on. It's to talk with each other and to be friends with each other. We're family. And we can talk about things that you can't talk to other people about. So it's up to us to avail ourselves of that, to be a friend when we can be a friend, and to ask a friend when we need a friend.
Thank you.
Don't do it alone.
What about when we're actually sitting and we feel that sort of unsettledness? I mean, obviously, we practice through it, try to be mindful about it. Say a prayer, I guess. I guess those are my answers to what to do when you're feeling, when you're actually sitting.
Right? You got to use the system. That's what we've been talking about all these weeks.
Okay, thanks.
Okay. It's a good question. You know, and we all have to find our own answers. You know, how we put it to use, how the application. You know, we talk about the aspiration, and then there's the application of the aspiration. So we have to learn how to do the application. Another way of saying it is there's aspiration bodhicitta, and then there's action bodhicitta. Okay. Thank you. Thank you for your forbearance.
Thank you.
All right, well then let's do our dedications, and we'll go to page 18. Dorje Chang, Talopa, Naropa, Marpa, Milarepa, Dharma Lorgampopa, Dagmajupa, Lordri Kumpa. Please bestow upon us the most auspicious blessing of all the Kaju Lamas. By this virtue may I achieve the all-knowing state, and may all who travel on the waves of birth, old age, sickness, and death cross the ocean of samsara by defeating all enemies, confusion, the cause of suffering. Bodhicitta, the excellent and precious mind, where it is unborn, may it arise. Where it is born, may it not decline, but ever increase higher and higher. I pray that the Lama may have good health. I pray that the Lama may have long life. I pray that your Dharma activities spread far and wide. I pray that I may not be separated from you. As Manjushri, the warrior, realized the ultimate state, and as did Samatha, I will follow in their path and fully dedicate all merit for all sentient beings. By the blessing of the Buddha who attained the three kayas, by the blessing of the truth of the unchanging Dharma as such, by the blessing of the indivisible Sangha order, may the merit I share bear fruit. By the virtues collected in the three times, by myself and all beings in samsara and nirvana, and by the innate word of virtue, may I and all sentient beings quickly attain unsurpassed, perfect, complete, and precious enlightenment. May the teachings of the great Trikumpa Ratna Shri, who is omniscient, Lord of the Dharma, master of interdependence, continue and increase through study, practice, contemplation, and meditation until the end of samsara. Page 21. Glorious, holy, venerable, precious, kind root and lineage lamas, divine assembly of yidams and assemblies of Buddhas, Bodhisattvas, yogins, yoginis, and dakinis, dwelling in the 10 directions, please hear my prayer. May the virtues collected in the three times by myself and all sentient beings in samsara and nirvana, and the innate word of virtue, not result in the 8 worldly concerns, the 4 causes of samsara, or rebirth as a Sravaka or Pratyeka Buddha. May all mother sentient beings, especially those enemies who hate me and mine, obstructors who harm, misleading Mars, and the hordes of demons, experience happiness, be separated from suffering, and swiftly attain unsurpassed, perfect, complete, and precious enlightenment. By the power of this vast root of virtue, by the power of this vast root of virtue, may I benefit all beings through my body, speech, and mind. May the afflictions of desire, hatred, ignorance, arrogance, and jealousy not arise in my mind. May attachment to fame, reputation, wealth, honor, and concern for this life not arise for even a moment. May my mind stream be moistened by loving kindness, compassion, and bodhicitta, and through that may I become a spiritual master with good qualities equal to the infinity of space. May I gain the supreme attainment of Mahamudra in this very life. May the torment of suffering not arise even at the time of my death. May I not die with negative thoughts. May I not die confused by wrong view. May I not experience an untimely death. May I die joyfully and happily in the great luminosity of the mind as such and the pervading clarity of Dharmata. May I, in any case, gain the supreme attainment of Mahamudra at the time of death or in the bardo. Om, ah, hom. Om, ah, hom. Om, ah, hom. May the body, speech, and mind of the Buddhas and may all the enlightened ones and my body, speech, and mind become inseparable.
Thank you so much, Lance.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you very much, Amanda and everybody. Thank you.
Thank you.